Already on episode 415.
I know. Isn't that nuts?
I feel like last week was when we did episode 400.
I know.
Let's see.
Chickadee check 1, 2, 3.
I've got an echo on my end.
Oh, do you? All right. Well,
Yeah.
let me fix that real quick. One, two, three, check. How's that?
Check, checkity check 1, 2.
Check. Check.
And now we wait for the YouTube.
Yeah. We should be good now. I forgot to reset loop back before we started, but we should be good now.
Yep, I'm good.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Greetings, programs, and we're back for another episode of the Nerd Cave Retro Show, and it's still Wrestlemania Month. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
So you getting excited for WrestleMania? It's coming up this weekend.
You know, I'm touched on this last week, but I feel like the build to WrestleMania hasn't been as compelling as last year, but like there's still some matches that I'm excited for. Like obviously the John Cena Cody Rhodes matchup with Cena being a villain for the first time in 2 decades is I think is interesting, and I think the match will actually be really good. The triple threat with Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins will be really good. And there's a couple of other ones that I'm excited for, but I have high hopes that the show itself is actually going to be good because a lot of people are sleeping on it.
Yeah, do you think maybe it's time for them to go back to one night for WrestleMania? 'Cause I feel like they don't have the star power that they used to have.
Maybe in the next year or two, that could be something that they consider. From a business point, I don't think they will, just because it's twice the amount of tickets that they can sell.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shout out to the Rushmore show.
The
that's
Rushmore
watching
show here.
in.
What's up, guys? Actually, we're going to be doing a
thanks for watching.
crossover. We're supposed to be doing a crossover with them in August, I believe. So go check them out, the Rushmore show.
Which will be here before you know it.
I know.
But from a fan standpoint, I personally don't mind it because it's 2 shows in one night, and I've even liked that WWE's moved their now premium live events, they used to be called pay-per-views, to Saturdays for the most part, because you can watch it Saturday and then you have Sunday to just kind of sleep in and relax and then get ready for the work week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it feels a little long in between what was the last one? Not the Royal Rumble, but the
Elimination
Chamber. It feels like a long time between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. I don't know why it's so long this year.
Yeah, well, WrestleMania this year is later than it's normally the end of March or beginning of April, but for some reason they decided to do it towards the end of April. Chuck says the good old days of using your phone to order an automated pay-per-view.
Yeah, those were the days.
I used to go to my uncle's house, no lie, back in probably say summer of 98 to about 2001. We would all kind of split the cost of the pay-per-view, and we'd go over every month to his house and watch it, and it was awesome.
Fun times. Yeah, my uncle used to get all the WrestleManias and SummerSlams, all that when I was a kid, and we'd all pile up at his house and watch it. It was awesome. It was just magical times.
Oh, fun. Oh, absolutely. I didn't want to turn the show into a downer, but I do want to mention something that happened after last week's show. And I don't think I've revealed this on the podcast, but back in 2005, I was introduced to podcasting from a show that eventually became known as the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle Show, which is a wrestling show. I've listened to it every week since 2005, And it was announced last week that Kevin Castle, one of the co-hosts, passed away.
Yeah.
During the day, and I'm not gonna lie, for a couple of days it wrecked me.
Yeah.
Because that show got me through some really tough times, especially in like the late 2000s, early 2010s. And it's like, when you're watching a TV show that lasts for 10 years, like a Cheers or Friends or Seinfeld.
Yeah.
You kind of feel like the people involved, even if you don't directly talk with them. And I had very brief interactions with him online, but it was tough. And they actually did a tribute show, or a tribute-ish show, that night, and you could tell that it was tough for them to do. So I just wanted to bring that up because that's, as podcasters, we all have like that show that got us hooked or into it. Mm-hmm. And that was mine. And I'm wearing their shirt.
Oh, nice.
For tonight, for just a little tribute.
We'll dedicate the show to him tonight. This show's
absolutely.
For him.
Yep, absolutely. No, I appreciate that.
But we got a little bit of news to get to, shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Some of tonight's stories were provided by Mr. Armez Jackson, and I am the Rampage. And if you have a news story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. And the first story is from IGN. And the Switch 2 exclusive Mario Kart World justifies its $80 price tag. Nintendo insists in first comments addressing cost controversy. Nintendo has insisted and justifies its shock $80 price tag in response to controversy over the $10 hike for some Switch 2 games. Let's see. It's worth pointing out that Nintendo is bundling Mario Kart World with the Nintendo Switch 2 for $500 or $499.99, cutting the cost of the game by a huge $30 in the process. And let's see. Where's their exact quote? Because basically what they came out and said was... Oh, and I read this is a long article. I lost where it was. But basically, they came out and basically was saying, hey, if you can't afford the Switch 2 games, we have a machine for you that you can afford. It's called the Switch. And this is basically what Xbox did, or Microsoft did, when the Xbox One came out. And everybody was like, oh, yeah? Well, we're just not going to buy an Xbox One. How about that?
I'm telling you, and I hope I'm wrong on this, but I feel a bit of a Wii U situation going on here.
I do too.
Here's the thing. It says here, I think this is the quote you were talking about. I would say it's less about the strategy of pricing Mario Kart World. It's more just whenever we look at a given game, we just look at what is the experience, what's the content, and what's the value. But honestly, this is a game that is so big and vast, and you will find so many little things in it to discover. And there's still some other secrets remaining that I think as people end up buying and playing the game, they're going to find this to be probably the richest Mario Kart experience they've ever had. I don't doubt that part of it, because the game sounds really cool.
Yeah, I don't either. But at the same time, they're going to make money on the back end with DLC, just like they did with Mario Kart 8. And what's the problem with that? Why is Nintendo so scared of having a loss leader now, like they used to? Consoles used to be a loss leader to get people into the console system, and then they make money on the games. That's how it's always worked. That's how it's always been. But now, for some reason, we don't even get pack-in games anymore. Nintendo doesn't do it. Xbox doesn't do it. PlayStation doesn't do it. I mean, you can get a bundle, yeah, but just a flat-out system, like you would think Nintendo would have a system that comes out and have a Mario game with it. Or something, even, Wii Sports came out with the Wii, and that helped sell 85 gajillion units. And even if somebody bought a Wii and never bought another game, they still bought it for Wii Sports. Why can't Nintendo get this through their thick-ass skulls?
Gone are the days when you had a little-known game called Super Mario World that was packed in with the Super Nintendo and helped sell, and even like you said, with the Wii. Here's my thing with the richest Mario Kart experience. I don't doubt that. But do you think there's any possibility that this game is bigger than Tears of the Kingdom?
No.
And this is more expensive than Tears of the Kingdom.
And
Tears of the Kingdom is like a near endless experience.
I think everybody is so scared of the economy right now and what's in a possible recession. I think Nintendo should just say, back off and say, okay, we're not going to release the Switch 2 right now. We're going to hold it for another 6 months until January of 2026 or whatever. Just hold off on it. Maybe even hold off until the holiday season. But to release it right now at this price point, and you got $80 games, it's just it's almost like they're kicking themselves in the privates just because of hubris. They're so anti-consumer right now, and it hurts.
Yeah, hubris and ego are a very, very dangerous thing. When you factor in,
if Nintendo does $80 games, what do you think Sony and Microsoft are going to do? They're going to be like, ooh.
No, I'm telling you, when GTA 6 comes out, it's going to be $100
easily, and they're going to get it. People are going to pay it. So
yeah, because people have been waiting like 30 years for it.
Yeah, and
I know it's not 30 years, but it feels like it.
I'm just not. I rarely ever buy new games. I always wait till they go on sale, or I can wait a while till the price goes down. Although Tears of the Kingdom, the only reason I got it when it was new was because of you, and thank you, Derek, for that, for buying me that when I was down and not feeling good about myself. And you bought me a game, and that was great. But normally, I don't buy games when they first come out, and I'm certainly not paying upwards of $100+ for a game. It's just not happening.
Yeah, it's not a good situation to be in if you're Nintendo. Now, the Rushmore show says it won't hurt them a bit. In my opinion, you're probably right, because as we're going to talk about in our next story, there are still going to be people that buy it. And I'm not going to knock those that do. If you're excited about the Nintendo Switch 2, bravo. Like, I'm not going to knock you for that at all.
I was until the last couple of weeks, until it was announced, and then I was like, oh, what is, I don't like this.
Yeah. Well, to our next story, also from IGN, Nintendo fan plans on waiting in line for Switch 2 at Nintendo New York for next 2 months. Nintendo fans are presumably eager to get their hands on the Nintendo Switch 2, but one in particular seems a bit more eager than most, as he's already starting the line in front of the Nintendo New York store 2 months in advance to ensure he gets one. YouTuber Chicken Dog has started making the rounds as the first person to line up for the Nintendo Switch 2 at the New York store. He started on April 5th, 2 months before the planned June 5th launch of the new Nintendo console, and he said he plans to camp out and record updates as he does so.
On a scale of 1 to 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think his ripeness level is at right now? Because by June 5th, he's going to be stinking.
Oh, especially in New York, where he's going to be exposed to all kinds of elements. I just want to dispel this. This really has to be Rampage, right? He just changed his name to Chicken Dog.
Yeah, has to be.
Yeah. No, more power to him, but I didn't even camp out for Star Wars when it returned to the theater. So I wouldn't, there's a certain excitement when you go to like a midnight release back when they used to do those. 'Cause I remember going for Skyrim and for Halo Reach. But I didn't camp out all day or for days in advance. Rampage says, how dare you?
He must have heard, his ears must have been burning. Yeah. He came running.
He threw his headphones off.
Yeah.
Yeah, more power to him, but I get like maybe a day, but 2 months is a little extreme.
I'm not waiting for anything for 2 months. No way. Is there anything you would wait 2 months for outside on a sidewalk?
Mm, no,
No, nothing.
no, no.
Yeah, me neither. This next story is from TimeExtension.com. Konami's 1988 top-down shooter Gangbusters is coming to Nintendo Switch and PS4. This week's Arcade Archives release will be Konami's 1988 top-down shooter Gangbusters, which is known as Crazy Cop in Japan. It was released on the Nintendo Switch and PS4. And how much does it go? Well, the gang is, after the game robs a local bank, Smith & Wesson must take the streets to stop the group's rampage, shooting bad guys and subduing criminals to load into a police van. There are 5 levels in total, with the first 4 stages being based on urban locations like a main street, a set of back alleys, a dock, and a railway yard. It also includes one of the cooler name entry screens we've seen in gaming, with players having to shoot letters on a firing range to enter their scores. That's kind of cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
It
doesn't
cool.
have the price here, but they're usually around like $5.
Yeah, they're not really that expensive at all, and it looks great. You know, it's not a terrible looking game, and this might be something that I would enjoy playing.
Yeah,
I'm not very good at these types of games.
I didn't look at the actual gameplay of it, but from the screenshots, it actually looked kind of fun.
Yeah, I just pulled up the video and just kind of briefly skimmed through it. It reminds me a little bit, as far as like the colors go, of Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors. That's what it
That
reminds
too,
me of.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, and Chuck says he would wait for free money.
Yeah,
yeah.
Depends on how much, though.
How
I mean,
much free money?
I got 5 on it. If you want to wait outside my apartment for the next 2 months, just hang out on the concrete.
And after 2 months, you get a nice, crisp Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next up, from the OtakuAuthority.com, Nintendo Switch Online adds Streets of Rage, eSWAT, City Under Siege, and Super Thunderblade. 3 more Sega Genesis games have arrived, which are the 3 that I mentioned. There's a trailer attached to it that, let me pull this up real quick. I have not played either of these, I don't think. I mean, I know Streets of Rage, but
yeah.
I've never heard of the other 2.
I've played Thunderblade before, but I've never heard of eSWAT. The guy on the cover looks a lot like the season 4 villain on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which we've just been watching that. We've been watching through Buffy the last couple of weeks. Am I wrong? Is that not the dude?
No, I would say that's accurate, yeah.
Wow. Somebody gonna get sued up in here.
Yeah.
For a 20-something, 30-year-old game.
I mean, all 3 covers look cool. Like Super Thunderblade looks like some kind of like 80s action movie.
Oh yeah, it's like
type of poster.
Oh man, remember?
But no, that's cool.
Well, you weren't really cognizant in the 80s, but man, we were really into like attack helicopters back in the 80s. I don't know what all that was about. Maybe the guys at the Rushmore show have some insight on why were we so obsessed with like black helicopters and guns with guns on them. I don't get it.
I mean, using them in movies, in action scenes, and to shoot like overhead shots because drones weren't a thing back then.
Whole TV shows based on like Airwolf and what was the one? It wasn't Blue Thunder, was it? It was something. Oh, what was the other one?
Thunder in Paradise?
No, not Thunder in Paradise. Let me tell you something, brother. Like them attack helicopters.
I don't know. Anytime you mention attack helicopter in an 80s movie, I think of Predator.
Yeah.
It's great.
Or Afterburner. Afterburner is a great game. Now, that is a game I really want to have. One of these days when I'm rich. Yeah, it's called Blue Thunder. That's what it was called. Blue Thunder TV. So that was about a helicopter, too.
But Rampage says, get to the chopper.
But yeah, I want to have an actual Afterburner machine in my house. The sit-down one that moves. Like in Terminator 2. Yeah, like in Terminator 2. That's the one I want.
Yeah. When my wife and I went in Best Buy, I think it was Saturday, they actually had a working Pac-Man arcade one-up machine. And I'm like, I wish you had a Ninja Turtles arcade machine.
Yeah.
Because then I'd be like, I'll play it for a little bit.
There's this thrift store I go to almost every weekend, and they have there's, you know how they have like the little, they'll have a booth in there with all the retro games and stuff in it. And this one guy has a retro gaming booth, and he has a working Mortal Kombat 2 machine. It's the arc. What is it? What are they called again? The
arcade one up.
Arcade one up. It's just that machine, but it's still. I'm just like, man, that would be so cool to have.
But still, you get to play Mortal Kombat 2 on an arcade cabinet.
Yeah.
It may not be a vintage one, but it's still technically an arcade cabinet.
Yeah, I would just hack it and have like 1,000 games on there.
Don't talk about hacking on this show.
Yeah,
Nintendo might be listening.
We don't condone hacking here on the Nerd Cave Retro Show.
No.
And is this the last story?
It is.
Oh, this is from AndroidAuthority.com. Bad news, gamers. Retro gaming handhelds receive death blow with even more tariff hikes. When it rains, it pours, and right now it's pouring on fans of retro game emulation. The Trump administration announced an end to the de minimis exception that removed taxes from products under $800 coming directly from China, with a 30% or $25 minimum duty to be levied starting in a few weeks. Now, as trade tensions escalate, those rates have tripled. Starting on May 2nd, products coming directly from China will be subject to duties of 90% of their stated value. The minimum duty is $75, so nearly every retro gaming handheld will double in price after that date. On June 1st, the minimum will increase to $150, making cheap handhelds a thing of the past. Now, let me tell you something, right? Let me ask you something right now, Derek, and I'm asking the chat room as well. Are we great yet? I can't handle much more greatness. Are we great yet?
Are you talking about the show?
Well,
or are you talking about just in general?
In general, America. Are we great enough again yet?
Maybe with another tariff or 12.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's not great.
Are we winning? No, sir, we are not.
I think we're all losers in this situation, honestly, because it's. And let me tell you, and I don't want to get on a political rant, but it's not going to get any better.
No, it's not.
It's only going to get worse. So,
how much longer do we have to deal with this?
Long enough.
Yeah. Well, on another note, let's go ahead and move on to this month in video game history, shall we?
Sure.
In April of 1982, Namco releases Dig Dug, manufactured by Atari in North America. I love Dig Dug.
Yeah, if you don't like Dig Dug, then I don't know what to say. Like, Dig Dug is one of the ultimate time killer kind of games. Like, it's so simple to play and it's so addictive, honestly. Like, I remember at the dentist office that I used to go to, for a while they had a Dig Dug arcade cabinet, and it was so much fun. That's how I was introduced to Dig Dug, Bust a Move. They even had an NES with the original Ninja Turtles game, and that's how I was introduced to that game too. But no, I love Dig Dug.
Dude, if you want to get me to shut up and laser focus on something for like 8 straight hours, sit me in front of Bust a Move.
Same, because it's simple to play, and you will lose all concept of time when you play Bust a Move.
You'll start playing it, and the next thing you know, it's like, what time is it? And it's like 4 days later, like Thursday. It was Sunday.
Chuck says he remembers playing it at the movie theater back in '82.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And Armez Jackson says, LOL, these tariffs are going to be killer for real. Well, you know what's not? You know what's tariff proof? And let me tell everybody right now, it's absolutely 100% tariff proof. Doesn't matter where you live in the world. Nerd Cave Retro is always going to be $1 a month for those of you who want to join the Patreon. Yeah. We're not raising prices. We are inflation proof, tariff proof. And as long as we can be tariff proof, because I'm sure he'll find a way to put tariffs on Patreon too. But until that time, we're as little as $1 a month, everybody.
I really hope we don't wake up tomorrow and see that Patreon has tariffs on it.
Boy. You know what? If I woke up tomorrow morning with my head sewn to the carpet, I would not be any more surprised than I am right now.
April 21st, 1989, Nintendo releases Super Mario Land on the Game Boy, introducing Princess Daisy to the Mario series. I tried so hard to beat Super Mario Land when I was a kid, and I could never do it. Then I played it as an adult, and when I did, I realized this game was really not that long, and I felt like child me felt like such a failure because I couldn't beat it.
You know, that would be an actual good top 5 list. Games that were hard when you were a kid but are easy as an adult.
Ooh, that would be a good one.
Because there are plenty of games I played as a kid that I thought were hard, and then I go back and play as an adult, and I'm like, why did I find this so hard?
There's also the flip side, too.
Yeah.
Games that were easy when you were younger.
Yeah.
Which we'll be talking about one here in just a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see. April of 1990. Konami releases Snake's Revenge, a sequel to Metal Gear for the Nintendo Entertainment System in North America, developed without the involvement of Hideo Kojima. I think that's the only Metal Gear game that was made without his involvement, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think that's it.
I believe you're right. And this would be an interesting game to play, and I have not even touched a Metal Gear game. They've never really appealed to me, but I'm thinking about maybe like later on in the year, giving one or two a shot and reviewing them on the show.
Yeah, I've always kind of wanted to go back and play the original, because I think, what is it, Metal Gear Solid 2 for PS2 that my brother got me Christmas a few years ago that I haven't played yet, but I do want to go back and play I have the original Metal Gear for Nintendo. I've never played it. I have it. I've never played it.
We'll have to rectify that at some point.
Yeah. Maybe we should do Metal Gear Month.
Okay. I'm all for that.
We can do that.
Yeah. April 23rd of 1995, Satellaview accessory for the Super Famicom is released as a Japanese exclusive.
Oh, is this the...
Yeah, this was the satellite modem.
Yeah, that's cool. We don't even have that now. Why don't they make that now?
And get this, it contained a whopping 1 megabyte of ROM space and an additional 512 kilobytes of RAM.
Wow.
I could put like a high quality photo on that thing and it would crash it.
Yeah, but
like it wouldn't fit on it.
If you could get a satellite on your Super Nintendo or Super Famicom at the time, why can't we make Xboxes now that just hook directly to like Starlink or something? Just like beam, internet straight into your console now.
See, like I thought this was cool, but I would have much rather had the Panasonic GameCube that was made where you could play DVDs.
Yes.
Because that always bugged me, that Nintendo was like, oh, well, we're all about the games, even though you could play DVDs on all the other consoles. But like maybe if you did that, you'd sell even more GameCubes.
I think that's our... both me and you have the opinion that if Nintendo would have made the GameCube also a DVD player, it would have probably rivaled the PS2.
Because honestly, if you were to tell me some of the best DVD players from back in the day, I'd put the PS2 on the list because
that's why we had one in the apartment.
Yeah,
at the
like
time.
there's
My
no
roommate-
need to buy a DVD player because you can play your movies and play your video games all on the same thing.
My roommate bought one specifically because it was a DVD player, and that was a pretty new concept at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you something.
Absolutely.
People are finally starting to realize now how good the GameCube was. It took 25 years, but people are realizing that it had some great games on it. And if they would have just made it a DVD player too, made the games regular DVD size, they probably would have sold a shit ton more GameCubes.
Yeah, and the thing is like, I feel like the GameCube was, and part of it was because the Xbox was out and with the PlayStation and everything. I felt like that was kind of the decline of Nintendo.
Yeah.
As far as being like the face of gaming, if you will. Like, of course, they never went away, but you had Halo, you had other games that appealed more to people because those who grew up on the Nintendo were older and they wanted to play more adult games.
Dude, I saw Wind Waker at the Game Exchange the other day. They had a Wind Waker for $65. I was so tempted.
Wow, 65?
I know.
That's
a little expensive, and I was like, man.
Yeah. I need to go to the video game trading post. I've been meaning to go for like the last 2 or 3 weeks, but I haven't been in months. Because that was where I saw the Panasonic Nintendo. Like they had one.
Wow.
And it was pretty expensive. I can't remember the exact price, but it was like if it was $100 or $150 cheaper, I probably would have bought it.
Yeah. And RMS Jackson in the chat room says, Satellaview had the best Legend of Zelda remake. It looked wonderful and played fantastic. That's cool.
I'll have to look that up. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, look that up.
Yeah.
Is it my turn?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. April 13th of 2001, Big Ape Productions and Fox Interactive released The Simpsons Wrestling for the PlayStation in North America. I don't remember if I played this or not. Are we doing this month?
Per request of Nick Windling, I will be reviewing this in a couple of weeks.
All right, that's awesome.
I have never played this game. I remember seeing it back in the day, but I have not played it. I don't have high hopes for it.
Do you want to know what the Metacritic score is?
It's higher than the IGN score.
Oh, good. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Okay, everybody. IGN scored it. Okay, Metacritic, it has a 32 out of 100. IGN scored it a 1 out of 10. Oof.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to have
we
a good
ever
time.
given a 1?
I think a couple of times we have, I think. Didn't I give Fester's Quest a 1?
I'm pretty sure I gave Superman 64 a 1.
Yeah. There's a few games we have.
I think due to the effort that it takes to make a game, I would automatically give 1 point for that because you went through and you made a game.
Yeah.
Everything else you got to earn. And I don't know if this is going to do that, but we'll have fun talking about it.
I don't think you're going to have a fun time with this, Derek. Are you sure you want to do the Simpsons Wrestling?
Hey, I'm a man of the people, so I will fall on that sword. I mean, I reviewed quite possibly the worst game of all time, or at least of our generation, in Superman 64.
Yes, you did. I'll give you that.
So why not? If I can handle Superman 64, I feel like I can handle pretty much anything. Then I have to do the E.T. Atari game.
Oh yeah, that's
I'll save that for whenever I'm in like a really bad mood.
Yeah, let's save that for the dark winter months to do that game.
Yeah. To close us out for this month in video game history, April 24th of 2002, G4 Media LLC, a subsidiary of Comcast Corporation, launches the G4 Cable Television Video Game Network channel. Was that the channel that had Attack of the Show?
I think so, yeah. Man, I haven't thought of Attack of the Show in a while.
Yeah, I remember watching G4 quite a bit and talking about it at school with friends.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't watch a whole ton of G4, but I do remember it being a thing for a while. Like, burned hot for a while, and then it just went away.
Yeah, it was one of those things that, like, as a gamer, you're excited because you have all these channels dedicated for everything else.
Yeah, it was Attack of the Show.
Why not have something for gaming?
Attack of the Show, American Ninja Warrior got its start there.
That's right, yeah.
Let's see. Portal. Not the game Portal. Spaceballs, the animated series. What is this?
I haven't thought of that in a long time.
I've never even heard of this. What is this?
You might have some stuff to look up later.
All right. If someone's listening to the show right now, could you please add Spaceballs, the animated series, a perfectly legitimate, legal way onto a complex way of watching it? Because I would love to see this.
That sounds like a future commentary track.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, Chuck says, he still follows Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb were the hosts of Attack of the Show. Yep, I remember that.
Man, I'm kind of excited for Spaceballs TV show I've never seen now. This is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
But before we go on to our review for tonight, Derek, would you like to do our Patreon shout-outs?
As always, we like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out Riley, Romaldo Marquez, Mr. Wally Phelps, the Dungeon Master himself, Brian Piotrowski, Nick W., Eld the Zombie, Yup Fed, a.k.a. Knife, James, a.k.a. at Jimbo Jr. on our Discord, Raven, Danny House, Justin Nispel, Daniel Salmon, Mr. B-Res Coffee himself, Mike Eveland, Tyler Watson, Axblade07, Armez Jackson, Carlos Longoria, a.k.a. I am the Rampage, Staff Sergeant Sketch, excuse me, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, now stand-up comedian Joey Image, a.k.a. Joey Potato, and, of course,
Mama Diamond.
Donna Diamond. Thank you all so much for your continued contributions and keeping the lights on for us here at the Nerd Cave Retro Podcast. If you haven't gotten on the Patreon bandwagon yet, now is the perfect time, because in just over a week, we will be recording the second part of our Nerd Cave Retro Quest D&D campaign. Mm-hmm. If you haven't listened to part one yet, it's out to the public now, right?
Yeah, it's out to the public as of Friday. But if you're not in the Patreon, everybody in the Patreon got it 3 weeks ago. So be in the Patreon and you get it way before everybody else.
And it was a lot of fun to do. And there are some fun twists and turns along the way. And I cannot wait to see what Wally comes up with next. So yeah, if you want to be a part of our Patreon community and you get your own RSS feed with 0 ads for as little as $1 a month.
And also, I like to let everybody know, too, because every once in a while, I like to let everybody know the RSS feed that you get with the Patreon. You take that RSS feed, you copy it, and you bring it over to wherever you listen to podcasts at, like whether it's Downcast or Overcast or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, you put that RSS feed into the little search bar thing there for podcasts, and it'll bring up that certain feed for us. So whenever we release something onto the Patreon, you automatically get it in whatever podcatcher you listen to shows on, and you get no ads whatsoever.
And to do that, just head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for new patrons, send us your social media info so we can give you a proper shout out.
And since all the music for this game is, yet again, all licensed music, I'm just going to play a little something from Mr. Rowdy Piper here.
You look like your head fell on the cheese dip back in 1957.
So what did you play this week, Derek?
So I am going to be reviewing a game that I have been really looking forward to, really over the last couple of years, because I've been into wrestling games since I think it was 1999 when the first SmackDown game came out. WWE Day of Reckoning, which is a 2004 pro wrestling video game released for the GameCube by THQ, which of course is based off of the WWE World Wrestling Entertainment. And I was very curious about this game because I have not played the original probably in 20 years.
Well, I didn't even know this game was a thing. And then when I was looking up, I've never heard of this game before till you brought it up. And then I was looking on Google to get the game cover to put, on our YouTube thumbnail. And I'm looking at I'm like, it just me? It doesn't look like a wrestling. It looks like a one of those independent Bible movies or something. like I'm about to watch what are those movies Left Behind or something like that. It looks like I'm about to watch a Left Behind sequel.
Yeah, it kind of does with all the dramatic lighting and it's almost like a light of hope because you've got the silhouette and the O in Reckoning, so it's this a religious figure that's come back to save the world. I've never thought of that, but I'm probably never going to be able to look at it the same way again.
I was like, am I looking at the right thing? And then I was looking around for some other images, and then I saw the cover that had Stacy Keibler on it for part 2. There's a part 2 to this game, but you can barely see the 2. So I had to look because I almost put that in the thumbnail too. I was like, wait a minute, let me make sure. So I went to eBay and I looked this game up, and this was the cover that kept popping up.
Yeah, because the cover, it doesn't really look like a wrestling game. You've got the WWE scratch logo on it, and you've got it has Trish Stratus, Triple H, and Randy Orton on the cover. But unless you know that it's wrestling, it doesn't really give a clear giveaway as to what type of game it is. But as far as the game goes, I was a big proponent of the GameCube back in the day and was excited that the GameCube was going to get its own wrestling game because the SmackDown games were on PlayStation. There was a Raw game for the Xbox, but I don't think it may have had a sequel. I can't really remember, but the SmackDown was what really put wrestling games on the map in the modern era.
And I got the game box up in the video right now for everybody watching. If you've never seen the game box for it, it looks like a romance novel or something. It doesn't look like wrestling at all.
That could have been a storyline, that involved some kind of romance because of the time it came out with.
Where's Fabio?
Right. But as far as the gameplay goes, it plays similar to the N64 games that AKI did. I think THQ I think did WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy. So it reminds me of those, but with a little bit better graphics.
Yeah.
It still plays pretty well. It has your kind of your weak grapple and your strong grapple system, where you kind of have two different sets of moves based on if you do a weak grapple or a strong one.
So with the controls for this game, last week when I played, which game did I play last week? It was the PS2 game, SmackDown versus Raw. It didn't really use the thumbsticks. It was really more of the directional pad I was using. So for this one, since it was on the GameCube, did the controls use the actual thumbsticks, or was it still kind of the directional pad?
So you use the thumbstick to move your character, and you can actually set your character to have 4 different taunts that kind of builds up your special meter.
Okay.
You use the D-pad for those.
See, because that's kind of what I was expecting when I went to play that game last week. I mean, it didn't break the game or anything, but it was definitely like kind of like I wish I could just use the stick instead of the D-pad.
Yeah, and I think that's why I preferred Day of Reckoning, because the controls were a little more logical, if you will, because I feel like especially with a 3D wrestling game, you need to use the thumbstick to fully be able to have that kind of range of motion.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about this game is it introduced what's called the momentum shift, where you can actually, you have to do a certain combination of buttons. And if you do it right, as you're getting attacked, you'll see this really quick flash on the screen and you'll counter the move. And then the momentum will be on your side, because it's all about building momentum so you can have enough in your health meter for like your finishing move or a signature move. And you can actually target certain parts of your opponent, and you'll see on the screen whenever you're having a match, there'll be like a little silhouette of a person next to their name. And if you attack their head constantly, the little head on the silhouette will flash. When you deal enough damage, it turns yellow. And then even more, it'll turn red. So if, say, like your finisher is like the figure 4, you obviously want to work on their legs. Or if it's some kind of power move, you focus on their head.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I like about it, is that it has a certain level of realism to it. And it's easy to pick up, like the movesets aren't extravagant by any stretch, and that kind of leads into one of my biggest complaints about the game. There's not that big of a roster.
Yeah, I'm looking at the roster right now. Why does Bret Hart look like current day Anthony Kiedis in the roster picture?
I don't know. The sets of legends are very random. You've got, was it Bret Hart, Andre the Giant? For some reason, you have Greg the Hammer Valentine, which not a knock on Greg the Hammer Valentine, but I wouldn't put him in the same category as like a Bret Hart or an Andre the Giant. You also can unlock Brutus Beefcake and Roddy Piper,
who looks nothing like Brutus Beefcake in real life.
No, and some of the wrestlers look okay, but there are others that I'm like, y'all could have used another few months to really kind of get the look right.
I'm looking at, and Edge looks like Taylor Hawkins.
He does.
The only people on who actually look like what they're supposed to look like is Kane. Andre the Giant kind of looks like the way he's supposed to. Booker T kind of looks the way he's. Batista, sort of, a little bit.
Yeah.
John Cena looks like John Cena now on there.
Not 20-something-year-old John Cena. He looks like pushing 50 John Cena.
And Rey Mysterio, since he's got a mask on, looks pretty spot on. And dude, look at under him at Roddy Piper. That looks nothing like Roddy Piper. Like, who is that?
I have no idea.
Look at
like Shawn Michaels looks okay.
No, he doesn't. he looks like a Who from Whoville.
I mean, he looks better than some of the other ones. Rock looks all right.
Dude, look at Ric Flair. That looks nothing like Ric Flair.
It's like, no, I don't want to say that. That's mean.
Okay, The Rock kind of looks like The Rock.
At least he's doing the eyebrow.
Yeah. Some of these are terrible. Like,
God, Val Venus looks terrible.
Val Venus, where?
Next to the Undertaker.
Goodness.
So graphically, it's not great.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you could have gotten these faces a little bit closer. It's like it's like they spent a lot of, it's like almost like they had a character creator and spend a lot of time on some of them to get them sort of close. And then the other ones, they were just like, close enough. And it's like nothing like the person.
Yeah. But speaking of Create a Wrestler, one of the coolest things about this, and I'm not saying this is the game that started it, but it's the first one I remember. One of the most fun things about wrestling games is creating characters like yourself or like an exaggerated version of yourself. Back in the day, you could pretty much just copy another wrestler's entrance and that'd be it. With this, it's pretty detailed on what you can do. Like you can control what animation you do whenever you come out from the curtain, what you do as you're going down the ramp, as you get into the ring, what you do in the ring. You can control like the camera angles, your own music. You can even control when your name comes up on screen.
That's cool.
Which is like, for a game that came out in 2004, I'm like, this is pretty cool. So in that aspect, that leads into my funny moment from going back and revisiting this game, because I had to look, because I still have my original copy. I still had the original save file on my memory card.
Oh, really?
So, of course, I had to see if when I created myself was still there, and it was. So I'm like, you know what? Let me go up against John Cena. And this isn't like current John Cena. This is like Thugonomics John Cena. I lost in about 3 to 5 minutes.
Dude, the same thing happened when I started playing SmackDown versus Raw. I just went into like just a regular, just jump into a match. I forgot what it's called, but you just jump into a match and you pick a wrestler out of like 3 wrestlers or whatever. I go into the match and I'm going up against John Cena, and he just wiped the floor with me in like 20 seconds. And I put the difficulty meter as far to easy as it would go, and he still kicked my butt in like 20 seconds, if that, maybe 10.
It's all right. Your secret's safe with me.
Yeah. Well, it was like somebody we were talking today about. I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about the percentage of people that believe they could take on a bear, or the people that could like fight a kangaroo or something. And it's crazy numbers. Like, 9% of people think that they could take like a gorilla. And it's like that thing would just split you in half. And then they were talking about what wrestlers could you go up against. I'm like, I think maybe I could hold my own against current day John Cena, since we're both the same age. we're both pushing 50 now. Maybe I could hang with him for, at least a couple of minutes.
For me, I would say none.
I'm pretty sure John Cena would just like walk up and thump me in the head and I would just fall.
I remember in 2005, my friends and I went to a WWE show in Mobile, and this was when Batista and John Cena were really becoming like the new faces of the company.
Yeah.
Batista is like the largest human being I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Because not only was he like all muscle, but he's like 6'5".
Oof.
And he was just like buff, tatted up, and I'm just like, this guy is the real deal. And he ended up, you look at how he's transitioned to acting, and I think he's the best wrestler turned actor that's out there.
2 of the biggest people I've ever seen in my life, and keep in mind, I'm 6'3". I rarely come across people that are that much taller than me. Kevin Nash, because when that dude was sitting down, he was eye level with me until he stood up, and I was just like, holy crap. Him and the guy that played Opie on the Sons of Anarchy, I can't remember his real name. He was at Pensacon a few years ago, and he stood up when I was walking past his table. That dude's like 7.5 feet tall. I was like, holy crap.
Jeez.
He's so tall. I was like, how did they fit you on a TV screen?
The craziest things I can remember from like the Attitude Era and even beyond was when Big Show was around, and he's like just over 7 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
And he would fight someone like a Triple H or The Rock, who's like a legit 6'4", 6'5", and he would just toss them around like they were like 5'5".
Yeah, I mean, what do you do with a guy that big? It's like Andre the Giant. Like, nobody could take that dude in a straight fight. Like, if he didn't like you, you were going to get the crap beat out of you in that ring. I mean, listen to some of the stories of like what he did to Macho Man. Like, he would just treat Randy Savage like a rag doll because he just didn't like him.
And Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, oh my gosh. If you watch some of those clips of him against the Ultimate Warrior and him just tossing him around like a doll, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was probably very humbling to stand next to him.
Like, what do you do to a guy that's like 7'4", 500 pounds? There's nothing you can do besides, get a tank and try to run him over.
The only thing you can do is whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But to briefly kind of sum up this game, because I know we're running a little long on time, but the story mode for Day of Reckoning is pretty generic. You start out as a rookie, and you kind of work your way up through the system, and you eventually get signed to either Raw or SmackDown. If you pick Raw, then you can join Evolution, which was the group that Triple H led at the time, with him, Ric Flair, Batista, and Randy Orton. Or if you go to SmackDown, you could join The Undertaker's new Ministry of Darkness. Of course, you end up having a falling out, and then you build yourself to the main event of WrestleMania, where you can win either the World Heavyweight title, which was on Raw, or the WWE title, which was on SmackDown. But it's still cool to go through, and you get to interact with legit names, and it's interesting looking at it now, because like Batista was still up and coming, Randy Orton was still up and coming, Triple H was like in his prime. It was a fun trip back in time.
Yeah, that's why I liked going back and playing SmackDown versus Raw. Even though I'd never played that game before, the nostalgia hit was crazy that I got from that game. Because I had played other games, at that time from, the one that was out before that one. The WWE game that one was the sequel to. I don't remember what the other one was called. I still have it downstairs, but I haven't played them in so long. But God, the nostalgia was just off the charts playing that game last week.
Chuck says Sid Vicious was the biggest I ever saw at a sushi restaurant in Memphis. Yeah, he was like 6'9", 6'10", I believe. He had one of the nastiest injuries I've ever seen in my life.
When he broke his leg.
Yeah, and you could actually see you didn't straight up see the bone, but you could tell that it was out of his leg.
Yeah. Ooh.
And I don't remember if he ever wrestled again after that, but it was bad.
Yeah, don't go looking that up, everybody. You can find a video of that online. Don't watch it. It'll make you hurt. Just don't do it.
As someone who watched it live, that is something I have no desire to ever watch again.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah.
So what do you give this game on a 1 to 10 scale?
So, as far as the reception goes, GameSpot's Alex Navarro lauded the game for its improved story mode and graphics compared to the WWE's previous GameCube game, WrestleMania 19. I completely forgot about that game.
Yeah.
As did IGN's Matt Cass. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. However, both sides found fault with the game's limited selection of wrestlers. IGN gave it an 8.3 out of 10, GameZone 8, GameSpy 4 out of 5 stars, GameSpot 8.2 out of 10. I would say nostalgia is going to cloud, I won't say cloud my judgment, but it's going to add a little bit to my score. Is it the best wrestling game that I've ever played? No. But this is a game, and I'll talk more about this when I review the sequel next year, because Day of Reckoning 2 came out in 2005. I just have so much fond memories of playing this game, WrestleMania 2000, No Mercy. The controls are still, like, they still hold up. Like it said, it's an easy game to pick up and play. It's not the prettiest looking game, and the selection of wrestlers isn't great. But if you want like a solid wrestling game with a really cool and detailed create a wrestler campaign, I would recommend trying it. So I'm going to give this game a solid, I'm going to give it a solid 8.
That's not bad. I wasn't expecting that high for some reason.
Yeah, I thought about 7.5 or a 7, but due to the fond memories I have with it, it gets an 8 for me.
Yeah. Well, I did want to give a shout out to, we got a message from Nick Opaleski earlier this week over on Facebook, and he wanted us to review Showdown Legends of Wrestling for the PS2, but I think we're going to save that for a little bit and maybe do that this summer. I got to find a copy of it for the PS2, but it looks like a great game. I like the cover for it. The cover actually looks really cool.
Yeah, I remember that game. I may have played it like in the store. It might have been like a display thing. I never owned it, but I do remember it.
Yeah. So that would have been a good one to add to it. There's just so many cool wrestling games to play. I mean, we definitely, every year, we're just going to start doing Wrestlemania Month and playing wrestling games because there's just so many to get to.
The sad thing is I already know my 2 for next year. Well, so next year is the 25-year anniversary of when WCW went out of business, when it was bought by WWE.
Already?
Yep. It happened in March of 2001.
I think I just aged about 15 years in front of everybody's eyes.
Yeah. The sad thing is I can remember exactly where I was in the house I grew up in watching the last WCW Nitro.
Wow.
And that's going to be the game that I review for it, is WCW Nitro it was for the N64, but I played it on the PlayStation. So that'll probably be the version I play. And then Day of Reckoning too.
Oh, Chuck says in the chat room that there was a female wrestler on Glow that got her arm broke on a flip on the live Saturday morning broadcast. I probably saw that because I used to watch that. I watched Glow and I watched Superstars of Wrestling every Saturday religiously at that time.
I mean, people will knock wrestling, but we've even seen it with getting to know Joey Image and all the nagging injuries he's had and all the surgeries that he's had.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can say what you want about it. Those people put their bodies through hell and back for entertainment purposes.
Oh, absolutely.
Show some respect out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of Joey Image, he's going to be here next week, and we're going to review WWF. This was before they were WWE. It's WWF Raw for the Super Nintendo. It came out in 1994. I didn't even know Raw went that far back.
Yep, started in 93.
That's crazy. I didn't know. I had no idea Raw was that old. But yeah, that's what we're doing for the Super Nintendo WWF Raw, the 1994 video game. And Joey's going to be here to help us review it.
I'm excited.
But that brings us to the end of this episode. This was a fun episode, man.
Yeah, it was. Jam-packed episode.
And I did want to say this week I did start playing some of that game, South of Midnight, I think it's called. It's on Game Pass right now, and it's all about like I think it was supposed to be set in Louisiana, but then they said Chickasaw County, and I was like, that's in Mississippi. So I'm not quite sure where in the South it takes place, but it's a lot of like, Southern Gothic weird lore stuff, and it's like an 360. It's like a throwback to the platformers of the 360 era. I'm about 3 hours in, and I'm having a lot of fun. So I highly recommend, if you have Game Pass, go check out South of Midnight. You might like it, especially if you were a fan.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you were a fan of the Xbox 360, PS3 era of platformers, kind of like on rail platformers, that's exactly what this game is.
Okay, that actually sounds really cool.
Yeah, just go check it out. But I think that's going to bring us to the end of the episode there, Derek. What do you say?
Yeah.
Anything you want to throw out there?
Fun.
before we leave for this week?
Yeah, just head over to facebook.com/Plain Jane Movie. We got the color corrected footage back.
Nice.
And because Kevin, our cinematographer, he's been slammed with work, which is not a bad problem to have.
Oh, Mama Diamond says she enjoyed the show. She's in the chat room.
Oh, shout out. Yeah, thanks for watching. She had to put up with my wrestling obsession for many, many years.
Yeah, so did my mom and dad too.
And now I passed that on to my wife. So, I found this funny meme, and I think I sent it to you, Wally and Joey. But it's a clip from Home Alone whenever he's sitting on the recliner watching. God, what was that gangster movie called that you watched?
Angels with Filthy Souls.
Yep, Angels with Filthy Souls, yeah. And it says, me watching pro wrestling while my wife's asleep, and it has him saying, I'm eating junk food and watching rubbish. You better come out and stop me.
It's not rubbish. It's genuine entertainment is what it is.
It is cinematic quality television.
Yes.
And no one will tell me any different.
But any plans for Plain Jane to be shown anywhere soon for the public to go see again?
We're looking at maybe May will probably be a little too soon. Sometime during the summer. Okay. So maybe like June or July, because we have been getting more people to asking like, when will we be able to see it? So. Yeah, just stay tuned. Facebook.com/Plain Jane Movie to find out more info on that.
Awesome. And go check out my other podcast, the Open Micers Podcast, at Open Micers Podcast on Instagram, Threads, all that good stuff. We've had some pretty good hostful episodes over the last couple of weeks, and we got some really good feedback for our episode where me and Jacob talk about going to our doctor's appointments, and we actually had somebody write into the show and say that they almost wrecked their car laughing because of we were talking about me having numb legs. So go check out those episodes at Open Micers Podcast. Please go and tell your friends. It's not safe for work, but if you like funny podcasts, you can go listen to it and share it and tell your friends.
Yeah, it's definitely wear headphones.
Yeah.
If you listen to it at work, but no, and I've said this numerous times, but not to knock the guests that you guys have, but I love the hostful shows that you guys do, because honestly, it makes me feel like I'm just sitting in the room talking with the two of you, or listening to you guys have a conversation, or just make fun of each other.
Yeah, I love doing the hostful episodes. I would do more. I would do 3 hostfuls a month and 1 guest show a month if we could, but Jacob likes his guests, so, and I like them too, but I don't get to talk as much when the guests are on. And
Fair enough.
And I don't get to tell about me battling cockroaches and things and destroying my bathroom and creating clouds of baby powder in the process. So go, if you want to hear that story, that's on the last episode.
Yep, absolutely.
That's it for this week. Is that everything? Are we walking out the door now?
I think so.
You know what, you guys? If you want to leave us a voice message, go leave it at voicecast.app/NCR. You don't have to sign up for anything. You just go there, hit the button, and you leave us a voice message. That's all you got to do. That's it. That's all there is to it. And if you want to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com, or you could just go to nerdcaveretro.com. That's our link tree. That takes you everywhere you need to go. All the socials, ways to get a hold of us, ways to give us money. Of course, the Patreon's there, and the merch shop, which is at ncrmerch.com. We got t-shirts, hats, magnets, bags, mugs, everything, all kind of designs. Go check them out. If you can't do that, I understand times are tough. Go leave us a review and or a 5-star rating on all podcasting platforms. Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
If you smell what Nerd Cave Retro is cooking.
Yeah.
Oh, a fellow chucker, eh?
See, I should have went and captured some wrestling stuff, like old school wrestling like some Macho Man or something for the outro of the show this week.
If we wanted to run people off, you could have captured the DX. If you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
I mean, we could have done the whole like cup of coffee in the big time, yeah.
You can always capture them for later.
Yeah,
so it's all good.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I love a full chat room, so thank you guys for
especially
hanging out
since we didn't do the show on Monday, so glad that we had a really good turnout.
It seems we get more people when we push the show. Maybe we need to move the show to Tuesdays.
Maybe. I don't know.
But
we can talk about it.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us, and send us those voicemails so we have something to just send us whatever's on your mind. Send it to us and I'll play it on the show. So thank you all for being here. Let me play our outro here. Thank you all for hanging with us, and we'll see you